Vanessa Blake sat in the courtroom, composed yet internally turbulent as she faced her impending divorce from Eric Blake. Her ex-husband sat nearby with his pregnant mistress, Melissa, who had played a role in the breakdown of their marriage. The tension in the room was palpable as Vanessa, with poise and determination, addressed the court. "Your Honor," she began, rising to her feet. "Before we proceed, I would like to request one more witness." Eric's expression shifted, and Melissa tensed beside him. A sense of unease swept through the room as Vanessa's voice cut through the silence. The courtroom fell silent as the door creaked open and a figure stepped inside, drawing all eyes towards her. Eric's color drained as he locked eyes with the unexpected witness, a moment of fear flickering across his face. Vanessa remained resolute, her gaze fixed ahead, as the unfolding events left Eric speechless and apprehensive. The judge sat stoically, concealing a torrent of memories within. Just weeks before, she had been a loyal wife, a dedicated mother, and a believer in the man now before her. Now, her role had undergone a profound transformation. As the witness approached, Vanessa felt her heart race not with fear, but with newfound conviction. This was not merely a divorce proceeding. It was a quest for truth, respect, and the long-awaited chance to speak her truth. And this pivotal moment was only just unfolding. A mere 2 months earlier, Vanessa Blake's life had seemed idyllic. At 35, she worked part-time as a translator from the comfort of her home, while caring for her 2 precious children, 8-year-old Sophie and 4-year-old Caleb. Her husband, Eric, held a lucrative position as a department head at a prominent tech company. Their tranquil existence in a peaceful suburb outside of Denver, complete with a spacious home adorned with children's toys and chalk drawings in the backyard, appeared enviable to outside observers. Vanessa's days revolved around school routines, errands, and engaging activities with her young children. Translation work late at night after the children had gone to bed may not have been glamorous, but it was purposeful. She fulfilled tasks such as cooking, cleaning, reading bedtime stories, and managing the household with a quiet diligence, being the unseen force that kept everything in order. And through it all, she did it with love. Eric may have been busy and tired, but he always maintained a kind demeanor, smiling at the dinner table, assisting with bills, and occasionally surprising her with flowers. Quarrels were rare between them, and when they did occur, he would always apologize, acknowledging her as the cornerstone of their family. Vanessa believed in his words until one fateful day that altered everything. It seemed like an ordinary Tuesday. Vanessa was driving home after delivering some documents to a notary office when she drove past Eric's workplace. She slowed down upon spotting him standing outside the building, hands in his pockets, appearing at ease. She almost lowered her window to wave at him, but then she noticed a woman in a chic black coat and high heels approach him. Confident and tall, she reached up and casually kissed him on the mouth as if they had. Vanessa's breath caught in her throat as she watched Eric smile and lead the woman to his car, wrapping his arms around her. They drove off together, leaving Vanessa frozen in shock in her own car, her heart racing and fingers gripped tightly on the steering wheel. How had she missed this? Was it real? There was no time to break down now, and she still had to pick up Sophie from school in 20 minutes. The shock would have to wait. That evening, after putting the children to bed, Vanessa descended the stairs with the weight of the day heavy on her chest. Eric sat at the kitchen table, absent-mindedly scrolling through his phone as he ate reheated lasagna. When he looked up and casually asked if she was okay, Vanessa stepped back and confronted him. Her voice was steady but low as she asked Eric, "Is there something you need to tell me?" "I saw you today with that woman outside." "Price," she continued, recalling the incident she witnessed, the woman, the kiss, a hug. "Who is she?" The room fell silent, Eric's smile fading as he slowly lowered his fork. "Vanessa, I didn't intend for you to discover this way," he admitted. Vanessa, already aware of the truth, asked, "So it's true then?" Eric responded with an almost too calm demeanor, "Yes. Her name is Melissa. She's a colleague. We've been involved for a few months." Vanessa's stomach sank. "You didn't think your wife, the mother of your children, deserved to know." Eric, visibly frustrated, ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't want to hurt you, but I can't just walk away from her." Vanessa questioned, "What does that mean?" "You want to maintain both relationships, lead a double life while I manage our household and raise our children, while she enjoys her lunch breaks in hotel rooms." Eric met her gaze, stating, "I don't want a divorce. Kids need a stable home." Vanessa's fury palpable, responded, "No, Eric. What they truly need is a father who doesn't deceive, who doesn't involve another woman in their mother's life." The room started to spin as she whispered, "You got to be kidding me. You cheated, and now she's pregnant, and you still expect me to play house like nothing happened." "Sorry," Eric muttered, "but I'm not leaving her either." I can't. Vanessa backed away from the table, saying, then you're making this easy. I'm filing for divorce first thing tomorrow. Eric's voice hardened. You that, and you'll regret it. I'll take the kids to the house. You won't walk away with much. Think about what you're doing. Her eyes narrowed as she retorted, don't threaten me. Try to take my children, and you'll see exactly what I'm capable of. With tears rising, but with her spine straight, part of her snapped, never to return. The next morning came quietly. Eric left the house before sunrise, no goodbye, no note, not even the familiar coffee mug in the sink. Vanessa moved through the remainder of the day with a heavy heart and the sense of resolve in her steps. In the morning, she mechanically prepared Sophie's lunchbox, assisted Caleb with his shoes, and handled translations via email, all while struggling to maintain her composure. However, her emotional detachment was short-lived. That afternoon, her world shattered once more. Eric arrived home unexpectedly, accompanied by Melissa, who sported a burgeoning baby bump beneath a tight sweater. Vanessa descended the stairs in shock. Why was Melissa here? Eric remained silent as he headed to the kitchen, pouring himself a drink. Meanwhile, Melissa helped herself to the pancakes Vanessa had prepared for the children earlier that day. This house smells wonderful, Melissa remarked casually. You're an excellent cook. I may steal that recipe. Vanessa blinked in disbelief. Do you think this is a joke? You're in my home, where my kids reside. Melissa met her gaze directly. Soon it won't be yours. Eric and I are getting married, and he's seeking full custody. You're not suitable to. Vanessa turned to Eric, her voice trembling, and implored, please, tell me she's lying. Eric avoided her gaze and replied sternly, I warned you, Vanessa. Filing for divorce was a mistake. You brought this upon yourself by walking away. Vanessa, her breath catching in her throat, countered, you cheated, you lied. And now you're trying to pretend like I never existed. Melissa, leaning against the kitchen counter with a self-satisfied smile, interjected, let's make this house our own, a real family home. In that moment, Vanessa had a realization. Without a word, she turned and headed upstairs to her children's rooms. Tenderly, she knelt down and whispered, kids, we're going on a little trip. Pack only what is necessary. Wide-eyed, Sophie asked, where are we going? Vanessa replied softly, somewhere safe. Gathering important documents, her laptop, and a change of clothes, Vanessa loaded the children into the car with trembling hands. She quietly pulled out of the driveway and made a silent vow to never look back. Uncertain of their destination, one thing was clear to Vanessa. They would not continue living in such toxicity. Vanessa D. Driving through the city, Sophie gripped the steering wheel tightly, stealing glances at her children in the rearview mirror as she moved along. She watched as Caleb clutched his stuffed dinosaur, a look of confusion on his face, but staying quiet. Everything they knew was left behind. The house, the furniture, the backyard swing set. All part of the life Vanessa once thought she'd owned. She had no concrete plan, only a small savings account and the monthly transfer from Eric's emergency fund for household expenses. With no support from Eric's parents, who had chosen to side with their son, and her own distant mother living across the country with health issues, Vanessa was on her own. Most of her social connections had faded away over the years as she focused on raising her kids and maintaining the household. But time was of the essence. Vanessa pulled into a gas station, giving the kids some snacks, and promptly opened her phone to search for apartment listings and short-term rentals within a 15-minute radius of Sophie's school. That's when she stumbled upon it. A modest 2-bedroom apartment in an old building. Near the park, there is a tidy and affordable brick complex that has a unit available immediately. Vanessa dialed the number listed and expressed her interest in renting the unit for herself and her 2 children. The landlord, Greg, agreed to meet with her in 40 minutes. Arriving early, Vanessa parked in front of the small building with its unkempt hedges and worn shutters. Her children, tired and restless, questioned why they weren't going home. Vanessa knelt down and reassured Sophie that this new place would be their peaceful home for a little while. Greg, the landlord, arrived with a welcoming demeanor. He led them into a freshly cleaned apartment furnished with simple and cozy decor. Vanessa inspected the rooms, making the decision to take it on the spot. That night, as she settled her children in their new beds, Vanessa lay awake in her own, feeling a mix of fear and determination. She knew she had no choice but to move forward with resolve. Vanessa found herself in a precarious position without a safety net or backup. Armed only with her children, her work laptop, and her own determination, she knew she had to do more than just survive. She needed to fight back. The The following morning, Vanessa dropped off Sophie at school and Caleb at daycare before settling into a quiet cafe with her laptop and a well-worn notebook by her side. After reaching out to her friend Tasha for advice, she received the name of a reputable family lawyer, Daniel Rose, known for his calm demeanor, strategic approach, and dedication to protecting mothers. Desperate for legal assistance, Vanessa wasted no time in contacting Mr. Rose, who agreed to meet with her that afternoon. Choosing the cafe with a play area to keep Caleb occupied, Vanessa awaited Daniel's arrival. When he appeared, tall and softly spoken, clad in a blue shirt with rolled-up sleeves, he exuded a sense of calm authority. Opening a leather-bound notebook, he invited Vanessa to share her story. And so she did, recounting the affair, the pregnancy, Eric's threats, the day she fled with her children, and their current living situation. Her voice only wavered once as she mentioned Melissa enjoying pancakes in her kitchen. Daniel nodded in understanding. Vanessa, remember, you are not alone in this. Family courts do not simply award children to the one with a higher income. You are the primary caregiver, and that holds significant weight, he assured her as she finally exhaled, feeling a sense of relief after days of stress. Vanessa expressed her concern that Eric was determined to take everything, the house, the kids, believing that she couldn't make it on her own. Daniel's gaze hardened. If he underestimates you, then he's in for a surprise. He advised her to meticulously document every detail. Receipts, texts, voice notes, a thorough log of every parenting task and act of love, from drop-offs to comforting a sick child in the middle of the night. Meanwhile, Eric persisted in his aggressive legal tactics. He retaliated by filing for full custody and ownership of all property, portraying Vanessa as unfit and financially unstable in court. However, Vanessa was prepared. She had concrete evidence in the form of months' worth of bank records showing her financial contributions, along with documentation of the children's schoolwork, healthcare appointments, and more. At the birthday party she organized alone. At the second hearing, witnesses from school and daycare who had never even encountered Eric testified. Daniel, standing confidently as Vanessa's attorney, addressed the court. "Your Honor," he began, "we would like to call a witness." Eric, appearing smug, leaned back in his chair. However, his expression quickly shifted to surprise as his own mother entered the room. She had stayed quiet throughout the ordeal, refusing to take sides, but now she was ready to speak up. She testified to Vanessa's dedication, revealing that she had not known about Melissa until Vanessa confided in her. She also exposed Eric's lies, detailing his year-long relationship with Melissa. The courtroom atmosphere changed, the judge's expression darkened, and Melissa looked uncomfortable. Eric remained silent, while Vanessa sat composed yet internally vibrating. For once, the truth was not in question. It was finally being acknowledged. 3 weeks later, the final ruling was given. Vanessa sat alone on a wooden bench outside the courtroom, hands tightly clasped in her lap. She had gone through everything, and now she had done everything possible, gathered evidence, showed up, and told the truth. Now, all that was left was the judge's decision. When her name was called, she stood tall and entered the room. Every word of the judge's verdict hit her like a drumbeat. Vanessa would keep primary custody of Sophie and Caleb. Eric would have visitation rights every other weekend, supervision if necessary. The house would be sold, and the proceeds divided equally. Eric's request for full custody and sole ownership was rejected. Vanessa, barely able to breathe, blinked in shock, as relief washed over her like a warm wave after a storm. The judge's words faded into the background. Vanessa had succeeded. Surprisingly, Melissa was absent that day. It was revealed later by a mutual acquaintance that she had left Eric just 2 weeks after the last hearing, feeling overwhelmed by the situation he had dragged her into. "I can't handle this," Melissa reportedly said. Eric had relocated to a small condo across town. His interactions with the children were polite but rare. The man who had once promised so much. Meanwhile, Vanessa took quiet pride in settling into her new apartment. She replaced the curtains, painted the walls, built a bookshelf with Sophie, and planted herbs on the windowsill with Caleb. Each task added to the creation of something new and uniquely hers. It was more than just a survival story now. It was a fresh start. In the evenings, after the kids were asleep and the apartment was still, Vanessa would sit by the window with a cup of tea, observing the city lights flicker in the distance. Thoughts of her old house would occasionally cross her mind. The garden, the kitchen where Caleb learned to walk, the hallway adorned with Sophie's early drawings. Yet she no longer yearned for the life within those walls. The current space, although smaller, simpler, and quieter, belonged entirely to her. Every aspect of it had been hard fought for and each moment earned. Many questioned how she found the strength to leave. In truth, as she left, Vanessa didn't feel strong. She felt like an outsider standing at the door, lonely and detached. Fearful, isolated, rattled to her core. Yet the prospect of nurturing her children in a household founded on deceit, of demonstrating to her daughter to accept betrayal, or her son to view disrespect as normal, that realization provided her with the strength to step out the door. She departed not because she ceased to care. She left because she commenced to rediscover how to cherish herself as well. Vanessa has a message for those who are listening. Should you find yourself trapped in a situation that is silently breaking you, do not delay until it completely crumbles. You do not require the validation of the world. You do not need to be flawless. You simply need to be truthful with yourself first. She now smiles, not the grin of a victorious woman, but of someone who has recaptured what truly matters: serenity, liberation, and that opportunity to start anew. And if you have ever had to rise and walk away from something that once seemed like your entire world, understand this: you are not on your own. Your narrative holds significance, and occasionally the quietest form of retribution is merely living well. If Vanessa's experience resonated with you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. Below, share your journey or support someone who's in theirs. Like this video if you believe in healing. Subscribe for more stories like this, real, raw, and told with heart. Because here, we tell the truth, and the truth always rises.